Hello, everybody. It's me, Shannon LaBruyere. I am live and loving it tonight. I am just tickled to be able to share with you tonight some principles about how to thrive in change. Change you love, the change that you've been wanting all your life, the thing you've been dreaming for since you were a kid, those kind of changes. And also the kind of changes that we didn't want, we didn't see coming, we hate them with every fiber of our being. Both of those changes happen, and I am here to help you learn to thrive in the midst of it. Welcome everybody who's jumping on. It's exciting to see you here right at the top of the show. Thank you so much for honoring me with your time. As you know, I preach this often. One of your most valuable resources. The only thing that you can never get back is your time. And when you intentionally invest time in you and yourself, in growing and expanding and becoming, that investment pays off for the rest of your life in every area of life. Wow, I love all the folks jumping in. Thank you for being here. You're honoring me by investing your time with me and allowing me to share your journey of growth. So thank you so much. Before we get started talking about our topic, I wanted to invite each and every one of you that is a fan of Sunday Night Live to join our Sunday Night Live with Shannon LaBruyere Facebook group. Yay! I am really excited about it. We've already got a nice core group of people who are jumping in, and I love it because it's a great place for us to congregate and connect throughout the week so that these lessons that you hear on Sunday Night Live can be reinforced throughout the week. Just a little touch here and there to keep you connected with what we're learning will pay off big time. So I encourage you to go join the Sunday Night Live with Shannon LaBruyere group. The link is in the description on this video. So if you go up to the top where it says how to lead when your boss won't, there's also a link under there that'll let you click it. You'll be able to answer just a few questions. And one of those questions is powerful because it will be something along the line of, what would you like us to talk about on future Sunday Night Lives? So that's very meaningful, and that's your opportunity to share something that you would like to learn a little bit more about and give us all an opportunity to grow as well. So I encourage you to join the group, and when you get there, you're going to see a really awesome gift for you, which is a screensaver for your mobile device, and it will feature tonight's Thrive and Chain principle. So the principle we're talking about tonight is going to be bring the honor. And if you want to make sure that thread carries through from tonight all the way through to next Sunday, go join that group, grab that screensaver and download it. I can tell you that my week was much improved because of that screensaver, because I don't usually wear a watch. The watch I have needs a battery. So I've been relying on my phone to tell me when I'm supposed to be places. And every time I picked it up, there was a reminder there of last week's principle, which was trust the process. So I am loving seeing everybody jumping on. Thank you guys for being here. It's awesome. Hi, Sarah. Hi back. And hello, Carol. All right, you guys, we are going to get started because tonight's topic is a hot one. It is a hot one, and it is this. How do we deal with a boss who won't lead? How many of us have found ourselves in the sandwich of an organization, right? There's people above us, and then there are people below us that we're supposed to be influencing and helping. And here we are right in the middle. And so many times we find ourselves stuck with a boss who just doesn't get it. I don't know about you, but that is one of the most frustrating places to be, is when we have an understanding of how good leadership looks, thank you, and we can also do a pretty fair assessment that that's not it, right? That what that person there is doing is not good leadership. I've been on Sunday Night Live and I know what good leadership looks like. And that is not it. We've all been there. We've all felt the pressure and the pain of having to work with a boss who maybe isn't as self-aware as what we would like. Maybe he or she isn't self-aware at all. So we're going to talk tonight about how we can #bring the honor, because that is essentially what we have to do when we are dealing with a boss who doesn't get it, a boss who is not a good leader, a boss who does not have strong leadership skills. When we are dealing with a boss like that, it is 100% on us to bring honor to that situation. The very first Thrive and Change principle, bring the honor. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So are you in? Give me those thumbs ups and those hearts, because that motivates me and helps me know that you're listening. If you've got a comment, absolutely jump in and make it. And feel free to continue the conversation over in the Sunday Night Live group, because that's a place where we can really kind of take the gloves off and get into the nitty-gritty of everything. So feel free to do it. Yay! I'm so glad you guys are here. I see lots of thumbs and hearts. Thank you so much, Michelle and Ron and Carlos. Awesome and good to see you. All right, we're going to get rolling, and I'm going to start out our topic tonight, which is how to lead when your boss won't, with 2 irrefutable truths. These are truths that you can write in stone. If you're so inclined, you can get them tattooed on your arm. You can write them at the top of every notebook. You can put them on sticky notes on your bathroom mirror. These are 2 truths that will serve you well when you are dealing with a boss who does not lead well. Truth number 1 is this. If you've got your pen, you might want to write this down. You cannot improve your boss. Gee whiz, you know, like, and you chimed in, you showed up, you thought there was going to be some big revelation, and we will get to some good revelations. But my friends, this is the 100% truth of the matter. You cannot improve your boss. How many of you know who can improve your boss? Only one person can improve your boss. Do we know who it is? Everybody say it with me. The boss. The only person who is going to cause your boss to improve and change is your boss. Now, can we help them? We absolutely can, but we cannot own it for them. And when we understand that, when we accept the fact that they are going to be who they are, and that we can, by bringing the honor, by showing up and becoming the kind of person that we want to be, by doing that, we can potentially influence that bad boss to change, but we cannot make our boss improve. They have to decide themselves. There's a really simple reason for this, and I don't know if you've ever thought of it. And this might make it easier for you to understand. The reason why you can't improve your boss, why you can't make your boss change, why you are not going to convince your boss to do things differently just by talking, the reason you're not going to convince your boss to change is very simple, and it is this. He is more successful than you are, and he got there by doing what he's doing. Hear me now. Your boss, if he or she is looking at success as moving up the career ladder, and many, many bosses do, most bosses do, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's a one facet of success. Sometimes it's one facet of success for your boss. Other times it's the whole kit and caboodle. That's how they get their self-worth. But the reason that your boss isn't going to just change because of you talking to them is because they got where they're at by doing what they've done. And unless they feel the pain of being unsuccessful, maybe they're not getting results. Maybe they're not achieving goals. Maybe they're getting called on the carpet by their boss. Well, now they've got some pain and they might be a little bit more inclined to hear what somebody has to tell them, yak, yak, yak. But if things are going okay, if there's no fires to put out, your boss got where she is by doing what she's done, and she feels successful. So they're not going to be quick to change. Understand that. Understand that, accept it, and release it. Because guess what? The good news is it's not your job to change your boss. It's not your job. Nobody hired you in your organization, unless you're a consultant like I am, right? I'm a consultant. People hire me to change bosses. But if you're a worker in an organization, they did not hire you to change your boss. They hired you to get results in your organization. So let go of this responsibility to fix your boss, change your boss, correct your boss. Let it go, because it's not your job. So let's all just drop that burden right now. Not my job. I love that phrase, not my circus, not my monkeys. So that said, knowing that truth that you can't, I can't, we cannot change our boss. We cannot improve them. This is the second truth, and it is equally true, and it is incredibly powerful. I can improve myself. Okay? Can't change my boss, can't make them do one thing, but I can change myself. And when I proactively, intentionally improve myself, I create a scenario where the responses I get from my boss are going to be different than they were before. I don't know if you ever played racquetball. I've played just a few times in my life. I've played tennis just a few times in my life. But I have spent many hours when I was growing up at the playground at school with a tennis racket and a tennis ball. I had one stroke. I don't even know what this is called, people. Boom, 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 boom. And I would hit the ball to the wall, and it would bounce back to me in exactly the same spot. I would hit the ball. It would bounce back. Do. And every time I did the same thing, I got the same results. And then one time, a friend of mine who played tennis said, Shannon, instead of standing there and hitting the ball up against the wall back and forth and back and forth and getting the same result every time, why don't you try moving over and hit the ball like that and see what happens? And lo and behold, when I changed my stance, when I changed my stroke, when I changed what I was doing, the result was different. The ball went in a different direction. That's what us growing, when we have a boss that doesn't know how to lead, that's what happens when we start to grow. Our growth creates an action that then triggers a different reaction. So this second truth is super powerful. You can improve yourself, even when you can't improve your boss. And so don't give up hope. I am going to give you some little tricks about how to deal with that difficult boss, but they would be of limited value if we didn't understand those two truths. I can't make that boss change, but I can choose to change myself, and that will create a change in my environment. Hear me? All right, are we ready? All right, so like Gandhi said, we want to be the change we want to see in the world. So if we're going to improve ourselves so that we can have a chance of influencing that boss, we need to lead ourselves well. We need to bring the honor. So we're going to start with that. How do we lead ourselves well? We lead ourselves first. Oh, I'm glad you guys like that. Yay! How do we lead ourselves first? So we're going to choose, we're going to make some choices. And the choices that we make when dealing with that difficult boss are going to create an environment that will make it more likely that they will choose to change. And it will certainly give them something new to react to. It's not the same old, same old. They do the dysfunctional thing, we respond in a dysfunctional way back, and we get in this loop that nothing's getting done, right? Because we're all focused on what the other people are doing. And so that's our first choice. The first choice that we're going to make when we're dealing with a difficult boss is to choose our focus. Where our focus goes, I'm hearing you, our energy flows, right? Where our focus goes, our energy flows. So it is tempting when we have a dysfunctional boss or a boss whose leadership lid is low. They just don't get it, right? They just don't get it. When our boss has a low leadership lid, when they aren't self-aware, when they don't necessarily even want to be a better leader, we can choose to focus on their flaws and their failures. And when we focus on their flaws and their failures, we amplify them. How many of you know every boss has flaws? Every boss has failures, right? How many of you know every employee has flaws and failures? We all do, because we're all human. Understand that your boss is human and has flaws. You choose if you're going to focus on those flaws or not. You can choose to focus on their flaws, or you can choose to focus in and find their strengths. I'm seeing some thumbs up and I love it. Yes, you can choose to focus on their strengths, because this might shock you, but it's 100% true. Your boss is not a complete idiot. Your boss is not without skill. Your boss did not get to the top of that organization because they were useless and didn't bring anything to the table and added no value to the company. The truth is, your boss does have something they bring, or they wouldn't be in that position. Find those things. Find those strengths that your boss does have and start amplifying them. And then you and your team, don't focus on the flaws. Focus on ways that you can compensate for the flaws. Because this is what, if we can remember this, it helps so much. This is one of those mindset things that if you can remember this, it's going to help you. You are not serving your boss. You're serving the mission of your organization. And sometimes we have to work with difficult people and overlook some of their flaws so that we can get the mission accomplished. And it's easier to do that when we aren't frustrated by the fact that our boss isn't perfect. It is frustrating, but we can't stay there and focus on it. What we can do is say, yeah, you know what? My boss is terrible with people. He has a terrible bedside manner, if you will. He has no idea how to talk to clients, but oh my goodness, does he understand numbers? And then you and the people on your team can say, all right, so how can we help our boss stay in his strength zone? Because that's a leadership principle. Leaders need to stay in their strength zone. How can we help our boss stay in his or her strength zone? Take the load off of the things that he or she does not do well. And we can use our strengths to help offset those. You're not trying to change your boss. You're not trying to improve him or her. You are saying, we acknowledge your strengths. We see you're good at that. Let us take this. And how can we add value here? Because I'm not here just to serve this boss. I'm here to serve the mission of why I'm working in the first place. What is our company here to do? Choose your focus. You can choose to focus on your boss's flaws, or you can focus on their strengths and find ways to amplify their strengths and offset their flaws for the good of the project, the good of the organization, the good of the mission. All right, so when you lead yourself first, you choose your focus. Focus on your boss's strengths and offset your boss's weaknesses. Second choice I want you to make is choose your battles. People, not everything is got to be a fight. Just because they're not perfect doesn't mean you have to get all worked up about it. Choose your battles. I worked for a boss, this is many years ago. I worked for a boss who had a habit, if you will, a way of doing things that drove people nuts. She would say to one of the people who was in charge of her department, I want you to put together a presentation about XYZ topic. And I'm going to deliver it, but I want you to put it all together so that I can deliver it to this group. And that's appropriate. And so, you know, the marketing manager would put together a PowerPoint presentation with all these speaking points and a speech to go along with it. And he would spend hours and hours and hours trying to get that right. And then when he gave it to this boss, she would eviscerate it. I mean, from top to bottom, hours and hours and hours of work, top to bottom. It was wrong, red marks, nothing was right. It was all awful. She hated it all. It all had to be changed. Well, she didn't just do that to him. She did that to everybody. Whenever she asked for a speech or speaking points or a presentation, it was her way. We had to learn to choose our battles. All of my peers would be so frustrated and they would complain about it. I can't believe it. I spent hours, blah, 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 blah. Guess what I did? I recognized pretty early that she needed something to have in front of her to respond to clarify her thoughts. She didn't think all of that was terrible and irrelevant. It just wasn't her thoughts. But once she had something to react to, it was easy for her to know, oh, this is what I meant to say. Did that come across with all of those X's and red marks and exclamation points? It didn't, but that's what was happening. That's what was happening. And so, you know how I started handling it? I started spending 15 minutes putting together bullet points with maybe 3 slides in a PowerPoint presentation, and I'd hit click and send it to her. 15 minutes of my time invested paid off because she would take a look at that and it would inspire in her what she needed to get her thoughts together. And then she'd start writing. And then when it came back to me, I knew exactly what she wanted to say. Some of my peers were open to doing it that way. They said, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. I'll try it. And it worked. It was respectful. It honored her way of doing things. And it didn't become a me against her battle. And yet there were other people who chose to make it a battle every time. I want you to consider, where are you fighting with your boss where there is just no need? There's just no need. Do it the way it works for your boss. Don't be attached to it having to be your way. What happened when I adjusted how I did things to meet the way she needed to hear it, my standing in her eyes went up exponentially. She valued me as an advisor. She trusted me to help her to refine what she was trying to do. We were not against each other. We were collaborating. That's what you can have if you choose your battles. Or, in this case, choose not to have one. You can choose not to make it a battle. Find the way that works for them and do what you can to meet them there. All right, the other choice, I choose my attitude. I choose my attitude. Who am I serving? I referenced this just a minute ago. I'm going to talk a little bit about it now. If I am serving my boss and it is personal, and when you have a great boss and a great working relationship, many times we are serving in an organization. We are serving the person as well as the mission of what we do. And that's wonderful when we can have that kind of an organization. That's called, John Maxwell calls that the 5 levels of leadership. And at the very bottom level, we just do it because we have to, right? And as we move up those stair steps with good leaders, We often are working for them, not just because of the mission that they represent, but because of the people that we respect who they are. That's not the kind of boss we're talking about today. We're talking about the kind of boss who's stuck there on level 1, who says, do it because I said so. It's my way or the highway. We can choose to release that attachment to having to need that boss to approve of us or to validate us. If we can find a way by working with the people around us to know that we are having an impact for the mission. Oh, I can tell what we're talking about is resonating with you guys, and I'm so glad that you jumped on. Liz, I'm glad you're on board tonight. It's awesome. Awesome. You guys, we can choose our why. We can choose our why. So if you have a boss who is not a good leader, I encourage you, take a look at why you do what you do. Who are you really doing it for? Are you doing it for your clients? Are you doing it for the public, the people that you serve? Are you doing it for the children in your class at school? Yes, having a boss who cannot lead is challenging, but it is less so when we don't look to that dysfunctional person for our validation. We get to choose who we serve. I serve my purpose, that thrive and change principle. Bring the honor. I bring the honor. You can bring the honor. Serve the mission. Why are you there? Why are you with that organization? There's a bigger question here that can be answered. If your boss is crushing your spirit, if you are finding it almost impossible to stay in that organization and work with that boss, then it is possible that it's not just the boss, it's the mission of your organization as well. And that's something you need to look at. Is this something that's worth getting better at so that I can make a difference? Is this worth me growing myself so that I get better at connecting with my boss, get better at understanding my boss, get better at adding value in ways that align with what makes my boss successful? But if all of those adjustments are only for a person and they're not for the bigger picture, yeah, that's soul sucking. Yes, that's hard. I encourage you, look at the organization you're working with. Identify those tenets, those principles, the mission. And if that's a mission you believe in, it is going to be so much easier for you, to be able to focus on the why of what you're doing and not just the dysfunctional person who's making it more difficult. So does that make sense? Your why matters. You get to choose, who am I serving? All right. So category 1 was lead yourself first. Category 2, and we're wrapping up, is lead others for results. You're going to lead yourself. And then as you lead yourself well, you are positioned to lead others for results. And how many of you know your boss loves results? Your boss loves results. When you lead yourself well, you can then begin to lead others, lead your peers for results. This is what we know. Leadership is influence, nothing more and nothing less. Nothing more and nothing less. If you can influence the people around you, you are a leader, whether your boss has given you a title or not. And how are you leading the people on your team? How are you leading your peers? When they start gossiping about your boss and bad-mouthing him and amplifying all of his flaws, how are you going to respond? Bring the honor. How are you going to respond? Yeah, that's true, but man, he's got a great head for numbers. How can we help with this piece so that he can stay over there doing great work, right? Do you sit around gossiping, or do you find ways as an influencer to show your boss in a better light? This is what I want you to understand. Everybody sees your boss's flaws. Everybody does. Nobody needs you to point them out. That's just the truth. You know what they don't see? They don't see the good pieces of her. They don't see how she's really great at finagling this kind of a situation, or that she does really well when she's talking to the board of directors. They don't get to see all the good. You can make it your mission to keep that picture a little more balanced. You can lead others and influence them for results, because when their focus goes to those strengths, when their focus goes to the mission of the organization, when their focus goes to the why, the results of you and your team are going to skyrocket. And that changes your boss. There it is. It's not everything. One of these days, we'll do a deep dive. One of these days coming up, we'll do a deep dive into some specific things that we can work on to make dealing with a boss who's a bad leader a little bit better, and how we can grow ourselves in the process. I'll probably do something like that in our live stream leadership series on Saturday mornings. In the meantime, I trust that this is going to help you. If you can just remember that you can bring the honor if you lead yourself first, choose your focus, choose your attitude, choose who you're serving, choose your battles. If you do that well, you're going to be able to lead others for great results, and those great results are exactly what your boss needs, exactly what your boss is looking for, and it is going to change her perspective. You guys are awesome. As we wrap up, I want to thank you so much for being here. It's an amazing honor to serve you this way. I want to encourage you, go join the Sunday Night Live with Shannon LaBruyere Facebook group. It is a private group, so you'll have to answer a couple of questions, but once you're in, you're going to be with like-minded people who also want to grow and take the Thrive principles and apply them all the time. I love all the hearts. I love the thank yous. I love the hellos. I can't wait to go and read some of the comments. You guys have a great night. Mwah! I love you all. Goodbye.